All right, we are live. Welcome to another crypto market update. We have quite a bit of buy volume coming into the market. We're definitely actively looking for longs. We've seen the market structure shift, making a higher high on multiple alts. Ethereum was a front runner. We've already seen the price break the recent market structure high, pull back and retest it for a new support, validating the previous resistance as a new level of demand or support. So it's great to see when we entered that as a feeler trade initially because it was a front runner. We wanted to get a little bit of exposure in the market, but at this point in time, we do see a lot of alts pushing and making that higher high we're looking for. So now we can start actively looking for longs and really start to position ourselves to gain exposure to the upside. So first things first, BTC has not officially broken above the descending trend line, the first initial descending trend. But we are seeing the price make some higher lows, and it's getting really close to that zone of confluence, which is right in the middle. Let's just talk about that right now. So this is our initial anchor point right here. For our first descending trend line, we have our first rejection point right here. We have our second rejection point, and then we are coming up for our zone of confluence. So this is a dependable area, but it's not an extremely dependable area because we have 1, 2, and really 3 areas that the price hits this zone. First anchor point, and then the second time, and the third time, and we're coming up now on our third time hitting this area. So it's potentially a dependable zone. But then what makes it a zone of confluence and what makes it more of a dependable zone we can use is the fact that we also have a horizontal zone of support and resistance. Initially, we see it as a nice level of support here, and then we test it yet again, and then we test it yet again, and then we test it yet again, and then now we have a nice level of resistance. So we can assume that this zone is going to have some level of sell pressure when the price comes up to it. So that's where BTC is currently at, and we are looking for longs. I do think that this could push up. Looking just within the consolidation here, definitely a little bit more sell pressure, but within kind of the more recent volume, we do see a little bit more buy volume coming in. So pretty even within the small consolidation looking here. Within a downtrend, obviously, it makes sense that we are seeing moves to the downside with more sell pressure coming in, seeing volume distribution, which is a bearish indication. But looking on the 4-hour, like before, we do see strong buy volume coming into the market, seeing strong buying volume accumulation coming in, and even within the current support that we're holding there, we do see more buy volume coming in compared to the sell volume within the recent price action, really showing us that volume accumulation is occurring. There are big buyers still accumulating, holding the pair, and it looks really healthy. So that's the overall outlook for the 1-hour chart, and then we will discuss the smaller time frames here on the smaller for the different alts. We're not going to go over the larger time frames, but we'll discuss the different alts that we are currently looking at. We've already entered in Ethereum here for a small feeler entry. We'd like to initially have 2 injections of buy pressure. We only have 1, and we entered on the first injection of buy pressure. One thing to note is it's really good to see that there is significantly more buy pressure coming in compared to the sell pressure. Looking at the uptrend that we're currently seeing, breaking resistances, holding supports, is very healthy. Even within the consolidation, we're seeing strong buy accumulation coming in, which is great to see. And then this was a front runner, like we said before. Looking at different pairs like XRP, it recently broke out on this current 1-hour candle, but we can see Ethereum has already broken out 2 hours ago. So like I said, it was a front runner, but XRP has currently broken out, and it looks like we're going to form a new higher high, which would be great. And what we're looking to do is enter at the completion of the exhaustion of the higher low. So XRP just broke out to form a new higher high. We got around just under 13 minutes left until this 1-hour closes. TRX is in a very similar situation. We broke the descending trend line. So a lot of these alts are looking similar in terms of the structure of the market, and we'll kind of talk about the structure of the market. We have an anchor point, we have lots of rejections, and then we have another rejection, and we have another rejection. So now we can call it a dependable zone. Once this gets broken, it could potentially be a shift in trend, but market structures have 3 phases. It goes up, it can go sideways, and it can go down, vice versa if it's to the downside and an upside. This consolidation, accumulation slash distribution phase. Could be short, could be long, depending on different things in the market. But in this circumstance, we want to see the price make a higher high before we look to enter, because we want to see the market structure shift as well as the price action give us a validation that the market structure is going to shift, or the trend is going to shift, right? So this is the previous high, and this is the previous high, and I did draw a zone here, so theoretically, if you're really looking at the 5-minute chart, it did create a higher high, but what I'm looking at is for this key zone to break, which is a pretty important area within the chart. On the 4-hour, this is just a wick, and then we see a candle closure at this zone. So where the actual white rectangle there is a pretty important zone within the 4-hour chart, and if we're able to close above that area, that would be pretty significant. And then what are we looking to have? We're looking to enter at the completion of the exhaustion phase. What's the exhaustion phase? It's the pullback, and then we're looking to see the completion of the pullback before we look to enter before the next impulse push to the upside or downside, whichever way you are trading. So that's the overall outlook. We're looking for the pullback. We do see more buying pressure come into the market, which is really good. And within the consolidation here, we do see that there is more buy pressure than sell pressure, meaning volume accumulation is occurring, which is great for TRX. So XRP and TRX just broke out within the 1-hour candle, which has a little over 10 minutes left until the close. We see BNB still has not broken out of the market structure of the consolidation phase. We've not seen a higher high. We've seen the price, yes, hold this zone. We see the anchor point right here, and we see a descending zone initially, hold the price down, and then we see the price create its accumulation phase with its support and resistance right here, just bouncing from resistance to support. And we haven't seen the price make a higher high, and we are going to stay patient, not enter anything, not try to FOMO in. We already have pairs that are looking good that we could be looking to enter in. XRP does look good if we do get a nice pullback. After the 1-hour candle closes above this zone, that'd be looking pretty good. As well, on the 4-hour, we have just over 2 hours left, so it's looking pretty good as well. We do see some wicks to the downside, showing a lot of pressure, although the volume is contracting, like tightening, which does potentially indicate a big move coming up, because like anything, it's kind of like an elastic band. It contracts and contracts and tightens, and once it lets go, there's a surge in volume either to the upside or downside. So we will see, but I think we are a little bit more geared towards an upside move. So that's XRP. TRX we already discussed. BNB we discussed as well, and Link we will discuss right now. Also for whoever's watching, you can ask a question within the chat, and we'll be able to discuss the answer if it's relevant to what we're talking about today. So now talking about Link. Not as ideal, but we do see that the price has now broken our descending zone. Didn't really respect it too much. We see it three times respected, first, second, third, and then we come back and test it for a new level of support right here. But the price is still falling, making lower lows and lower highs with a descending channel there. And I'd ideally like to see the price start to make higher highs and higher lows before we look to enter for a little bit more of a confirmation. On a smaller time frame, you could probably draw a trend line here and probably potentially capture a nice little up move there. We're not exactly sure, but that is a potential that we could see in the near future. So that's the overall outlook for Link. Not going to get into EOS or Dash too much because, actually I'll get into Dash, because someone definitely was interested in Dash, because the market really, hasn't moved since we talked about it last time, since we took the picture and posted it on the crypto markets. We've been consolidating, and we have been seeing buying happening with buy accumulation coming into the market. But looking at the larger time frames, you could probably see a lot more buy pressure coming in. Not too much, but we do see more volume accumulation coming in. But give me one moment here. And then same as Cardano, we made a new structural high. We're potentially going to see a higher low, and that's what we'll look to enter. Same thing with XRP and TRX. So that's the overall structure of the market. We entered on Ethereum, and we're looking to enter longs into the market, and that's about it. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, drop a comment below, and until then, or until next time, happy trading.